we are here for our hot seat. The way that we decided that we would do our hot seat is to go back and look at the reports inside of our private membership group to see who is the most engaged. And so we have Gersha here with us tonight. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And we already know who our next one is going to be, who I think is going to be excited. We'll announce that at the end. This past Friday, we installed Sarah Ware as the president of Chicago Realtors at our 139th inaugural gala. This year, we made it a sneaker gala. And so Skylar said he never heard so many women say how comfortable they were at the fact that they got to wear high heels and sneakers. But let me tell you something. If you look at the pictures of the dancing, you have never seen women dance like they danced at this inaugural because they were comfortable. So the DJ played some songs. I told them, I said, "Oh, we going to hell next week," because some of them songs was the most ratchet songs out on the market today. But when I tell you what I love is the fact that I don't care what race a person was, they all knew the lyrics to even the most ratchet songs, right? Yes. And so everybody can salsa. Everybody know a little rap, right? I'm just like, oh my goodness. So we had a great time. And it was really a lot of fun. I'm still trying to get my bearings together. But tonight is all about the hot seat. Anita, this is one thing I wanted to tell you before we get started. So there is a very big preservation company here in the city of Chicago. They did a lot of board ups back when we were in a foreclosure crisis, 2008 to 2012. Their president was at the inaugural, and he said that we need to prepare our realtors for the amount of foreclosures that are getting ready to hit the streets. So if you've not had the opportunity, I would tell you to go back and watch the replay of the ADPR course. Those they're inside of your wonderful guide that provides you with a link to all of the classes. But those were offered in the month of June and July because they are supposed to be hitting the streets fourth quarter this year, first quarter next year. So keep that in mind. So how you doing today, Gersha?
I am well. Thank you. I am well. I'm excited to be here. When I heard the date, I said, I'm going to be here because when this is over, I'm packing for vacation tomorrow. I got to head out early in the morning, but I am excited to be here.
Well, I'm elated that you are taking a vacation. I think everyone deserves a vacation. Realtors tend to be the only people who don't take vacation.
You're right.
So truly enjoy yourself. Interesting. Today, I went to go see the esthetician. And when I was at the esthetician, we were talking, and she said that there are a lot of women who only come to see her when they're in a relationship. They do not come to see her when they're not in a relationship. And instantly, I kind of felt sad for so many women. Pamper you. Do you. Make you feel special. And let me tell you this, men know women who into themselves, right? No matter whether they're present or not. So do it because it makes you feel good and take the vacation. Okay.
Yes. And it's funny you say that. I thought about the trips I took this year, and they were family reunions. And that's not a vacation. That's work.
Nothing but. Look, and they get on your nerves. So
no, that's what I'm saying.
Nothing but work. Yes. You catering to the generation that came before you, right?
Yep. So very, very excited to hang out with 3 other couples and get some sun as much as we can during this time. So, thank you.
Have fun. So what wonderful questions do you have for us this evening?
Well, I will start with, as we talk about vacations. So you've been to many places as a real estate keynote speaker. Mm-hmm. What city or country is on your bucket list?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. We're planning for a summer cruise next year to Italy. We're going to call it the trip of a lifetime. I think my entire block is going. We're inviting our friends, our family.
Wow.
So we just planned that. We were supposed to go to Barcelona for my 50th birthday. And because of the pandemic, we weren't able to go.
Right.
And so on the bucket list is Italy in 2023.
Awesome.
Yes,
Well,
I'm pretty
I
excited.
know we'll get to see either during or after via social your amazing time in Italy. So that is an awesome, awesome bucket list place.
Yes, that's what's
So
on the list.
thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing that with us. So my next question is, in this shifting market and post-COVID era, many of us are going back to hosting open houses. How can we maximize our social media skills at open houses?
So, the best way I think that we would start to maximize our social skills at the open houses is there should always be a live streaming preview of the open house. For numerous reasons. One, to especially like we have a listing in High Park, which is an affluent community here in the city of Chicago. And my sellers, they vacated the premises and moved to Massachusetts.
Okay.
So, one of the ways that I show them that I'm consistently doing something is that we are doing reels and live streaming videos. So, one day I went over to the property to pick up some mail. I
Mhm.
did a live streaming video and a walkthrough of the property. Okay. So do a Facebook Live, Instagram Live, do a preview. There is a piece or a technology called Restream.io where you can restream to you can stream to multiple platforms at the same time. And then
Mhm.
there's another platform called repurpose.io where once you go live on one platform, you can have it syndicate to other platforms.
Okay. Okay.
And so, what I would recommend is do that virtual preview of the home. You could, if you
Mhm.
bake cookies, say, "Oh, I wish you were here to smell the
Mhm.
cookies." Stop by at this time. Once you have done that, then you want to download that video and put it on YouTube. Oh, let me come back.
Mhm.
I think that we should be partnering when we're doing our open houses with the lender.
Right.
And
Mhm.
so one thing that I just told Skylar today, because we going in to ask for a price reduction tomorrow, and this might be something to think about in your business regardless. We had
Mhm.
Curbio to come
Yes.
out and tell us the updates that were needed to the property. The
Mhm.
seller will not get a return on making the updates. The seller should just do a price reduction because they're not going to
Right.
make any money on the updates. With
Mhm.
that being said, think about Curbio as a partner because you can also become an affiliate, but then also think about that lender. And when you are talking to that lender, you want someone who specializes in that type of property. If it's a condo, who has condo financing,
Mhm.
you want them to encourage people on how they can get into the property and talk about interest buy downs. And I know that we did a finance panel back in July. You want to talk about, oh man, I was just with Letitia. She's the one who put us with that program. I think it started with a C and interest buy down. So you do the program with the lender, you add a call to action. If you want more information on this property, click on the link,
Yes.
taking them to your Canva or to your Google Forms as a landing page because you want the right to send them back information. Uh, and then take that video and do audio to text transcription to write a blog post.
Okay.
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 So we're going to do a live video. We're going to have a host with us. That host is going
Mhm.
to be a lender. We're
Yeah.
going to talk about finance options. We're going to then take that video content and repurpose it. Now, and I tend never to focus on the negativity, always concentrate on solutions,
Mhm.
but we have to be honest with ourselves. So one thing that I know Skylar's preparing today for our presentation tomorrow is I wanted him to go back and look at what the interest rates were May, June, July, August, September. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because I want to show the sellers
Mm-hmm.
the difference in affordability just on the principal and interest with the interest rate increase in order to get the price reduction. So one, we're bringing in Curvio to talk about the repairs that were needed, documented, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going back because this is such a unique market. Hey, this is what the interest rates were at the beginning of each month. This is what that principal and interest payment would be. The likelihood is in some marketplaces, the price on the PI has doubled based on the increase in the interest rate. Right. To get the price reduction. So we want to have those finance options, right? And we got to start thinking about comparables. Mm-hmm. So another thing to think about, someone just made this post the other day. They said, couldn't you drop down the first year you purchased your home and what the interest rate was at that time? Mm-hmm. And I think everybody might know that I bought my first property in 1994 and interest rates were 8.375. I still made a lot of money off of said property. Mm-hmm. So what you might want to think about is a effective marketing strategy to buyers incorporating that house where they've seen a higher interest rate than what exists today. Mm-hmm. That would likely be anyone 45 and older.
Okay.
So if you have buyers in that marketplace that are 45 and older, I'm going to say, hey, did you buy your first home in the 90s? In the 90s, this was the interest rate at that time. You made a lot of money. That property is appreciated. We might even want to go back and show what the interest rates were that year, right? And how that property has appreciated to show the long-term value of owning real estate. That first property that I bought, I got it for $40,000. That property today would probably be worth about $800,000.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So those would be some of the things that I would do with the open house. Oh, another strategy for newer agents in your marketplace who don't have any listings, invite them to do a video stream contest at your property. Whether that's going to be an Instagram Live, whether that's going to be TikTok, Snapchat. But hey, guys, you stop by my property. Do you like inventory to talk about?
Right. Yeah.
Meet me at so-and-so. I have a listing for you to build visibility to you and your real estate business.
Love it. Love it.
And let me tell you how I know it works. It's an example I use in class about my neighbor, David O., who's at Coldwell Banker. He lives around the corner. When he listed the 2 properties on my corner at $825, I did a live streaming video across the street from my house, but it had my house and his 2 listings in it. And I talked about the true value of real estate in the market. Mm-hmm. Another realtor shared my video with the developer. Okay. The developer wanted to know why his listing agent hadn't completed any videos on the property, but Marky Lemons-Ryhal did. What happened after that was David knew that he had to have video on his developments, but he didn't like to do video. So he started inviting all of the realtors to come and do social media posts and videos from his listings to provide the proof back to the builder that he was creating content and networking with realtors.
Wow. And I like that when you mentioned it for what sounds like it was a new construction or new development.
It was.
But we could even incorporate that if there is a similar home on the block. I'm immediately thinking about a new listing of mine. It's an existing neighborhood. But if there's another property nearby, that might work as well. But I love inviting, because especially when it's an unoccupied property and it's staged, new realtors would love to come in. And so I'm already thinking about that. So no, that's an excellent video stream contest. Love it.
Video stream contest. But let me give you another one from about 2 weeks ago. So Skylar reached out to Naja. Well, she's a little old. She's between me and Skylar's age, but she's partnered. She's on Michelle Brown's team, which is a top producing team and one of the few luxury teams on the south side of the city of Chicago. And so what Skylar noticed was that Naja, Wayne Bill, and him, they all had listings in Hyde Park that weren't moving. So I made the recommendation to Skylar to reach out to see if they wanted to do like a Saturday tour. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Naja, Wayne Bill, Skylar, Margie Smigel, and it was one other lady, I think from Compass. They did a Saturday tour. They had like, it was a kind of looked like a vertical piece of marketing. They all had refreshments at their open house, and they all did a Hyde Park condo open house tour.
Wow.
Which for Skylar was very beneficial because he was the youngest by years with these very seasoned professionals, right? But he was able, because he does the reels and all of that, he was able to leverage the reels for the opportunity to even collaborate. And maybe because I'm his mama, because they wouldn't have done business with Skylar. Like, I'm just based on their tenure. He didn't have a relationship. They don't even look. They don't even do that, right? But it was a new, unique idea. None of them sold their condos, but it showed how they could cooperate and work with one another in order to get a property sold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we now have to go back to some of those kinds of things that we did years ago. So I do appreciate you reminding some of us and sharing with others who it might be their first time hearing about. We kind of call them caravans or things like that, where you actually do partner with other listings right in your neighborhood.
I haven't heard the word caravan. And I don't know how, broker tours, but caravans, yes. And I'm going to tell you what else about Margie Smigel. When the new $20 bills came out, it was either between 2006, 2010, whichever ones those were. She had a brand new condo listing in Hyde Park. It was over on Woodline. We were drenched, standing in the rain, because we knew once we got inside, we was going to eat and we was going to get that new $20 bill.
Wow.
It had to be 100 realtors at this new development in Woodline because we wanted to eat. One, we didn't came out in the rain, but one, we wanted that new $20 bill, and she was going to feed us. So yeah, we have to go back. Anybody here who was licensed after 2020, they don't even know what a price reduction is. So we have people, well, what's a price reduction? Because they've never experienced that.
Yes. No, thank you. Thank you for the wisdom. And even Curbio in our market, I'm in the Baltimore, Maryland area. Curbio is here in some areas. And yes, some of my colleagues have started to use Curbio to really show sellers what they may, if they have enough equity, or may not be able to do to make their homes more marketable. And it's getting to the point now, it's kind of like, gotta hurry up. So, well, thank you. Thank you for those suggestions of what we can do to maximize our social skills at open houses and even collaborate with other realtors. Love it. So,
and for those who don't know, Curbio, spelled Curbio, was actually in the Realtor Incubator Program. It's a tool that the National Association of Realtors was heavily involved or vested in, and I encourage everyone to use it. Skylar's very first listing that he closed, he used Curbio on it because the property did not have a working furnace to install that furnace to get that deal done. And they come in and they do the renovations at no cost to the seller, provided they have the property listed with the realtor. And then it is deducted at the time of closing. And they have a markup. I don't know if it's 15% or whatever the case may be, but they break their numbers down for you. Yeah. And so Curbio might be in your marketplace to help you sell properties, because sellers are now, we used to say they could sell anything. They can't sell anything today.
Nope.
So.
That's right. Now they need to do some things, and it puts instead of us trying to find contractors, this is a service available to us. So yeah, I completely agree with that. But it's always great to get that reminder. So thank you. Thanks, Marquis. My next question, a little personal. Thank you for sharing your lipedema journey with us. Sharing your journey has landed you an upcoming show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I do believe that buyers and sellers select people they like to work with, not just qualified realtors. And I believe the more they know about us, the more likely they will commit to working with us. How can we all examine our lives to see what other opportunities for exposure and giving back are possible for us?
Oh, that's a deep question. So let me be clear. When I was first diagnosed with lipedema, I've always been overweight, and my mother always told me that if I wasn't going to lose weight, I had to do it fat. Right. So that meant everything. That meant cheerleader, pom-pom girl, runway model. And being fat could not be my excuse. However, I wasn't clear if I was going to share the lipedema story because oftentimes people don't do business with people if they perceive that they're sick. And I've had a lot of people who are ill, who I know are ill, and it's not public information, especially those that are self-employed. So those that are employed, they're more likely to talk about it than those who are self-employed. What compelled me to talk about it was the millions. There's an estimated 750 million women globally have it, and it is undiagnosed, right? So I knew I had been living with it for 4 decades, and that if I wasn't willing to be vulnerable and share, then other women wouldn't be able to be helped. And because I know that I've had great medical care, because I spent 2 years working in pharmaceutical sales, so I'm going in and out of doctors' offices every single day. No one ever said anything to me. So instantly I start thinking, all these women who might not have the same medical insurance, heck, people even in the world of real estate who might not have the same medical insurance. Me being in a medical environment for 2 years and no one saying anything, I was compelled more to share based on the amount of people that I thought it could help. The first thing is trusting. Well, okay, is trusting the information won't be used to manipulate you or make you feel bad. So as a kid, my mother also told me to own my truth. Like it was a constant conversation. Yeah, this is going to be a little personal. So I was, by all means, a fast-tailed little girl who loved older boys, right? And my mother told me if I was going to be out here dating and being fast, to own it. Never allow anyone to use it against me. She was like, so claim it, put it out there. She's like, because if you're willing to own it and you stand on it like it's 100, she said they can never use it to embarrass you. Never. And so that was kind of like that was my approach. I like boys, and kind of was kind of like the thing. Right. So when I used to, oh Lord, so I used to go to what they call the Salem Sexy Booty Contest. And in the Chicagoland area, Salem would give you $50 to $150, right? And you would come and dance. I wasn't taking no clothes off. But I was following Salem cigarettes all around the city of Chicago because of my ability to be able to do a split no matter what size I am. And I was getting their money every week at the Sexy Booty Contest. It was like my college allowance supplement, right? So when I get pregnant with Skylar, I tell my mother, I said, I can't go to the Sexy Booty Contest anymore because I would never want anyone to point out to my son that your mama was out here getting everybody money at the Sexy Booty Contest. Now, mind you, I've told Skylar all about the Sexy Booty Contest, but that's not how I wanted to be perceived. So a lot of times people don't tell their truth because of how the perception of how they feel. Right.
Right.
I've just always kind of put mine out there because one of how free I am. Like, I know that it frees me and I know that you can't use it against me. And people always are saying to me, well, Marky, but you can do it. No, we all can do it. It's no rule that only Marky get to speak her mind and say what she feel like saying. We all can do it. My only rule to how I express myself is I'll tell you all my business. I'm not going to tell you nobody else's business. And I'm not going to do anything at the expense of other people. I don't want to step on your back, your neck, your nothing in order to earn money or to get to where it is that I perceive that I need to be going. I want to be able to do it just solely with myself, telling my truth, not somebody else's. So I think we have to get over the perception of how we think people are going to treat us or look at us as a result of telling our story. What I will tell you is none of us have a unique story.
Yep.
None of us have a unique story. And I've heard because of my parents' drug addiction, me going to Al-Anon and going to meetings with my parents, let me just tell you something. And none of this is unique. And as I age, I realized my little story ain't nothing. Like that little itty bitty story you think was bad, girl, that ain't nothing.
Yes.
No, so yeah, telling it because you know it'll help someone else. Yep. And your story is not, it's not unique. There's thousands of whatever that story is. There's 1,000 variation of that one story.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And
that was rough.
And I know some of, my fellow members of 6 and 12 hopefully will begin to think about their story. I have a story. I began to tell it publicly maybe 10 years ago, even though it was 30 years ago. And, that's, birthing a premature child who died soon after birth. And as I began to tell my story, so many other people on the side would say, that happened to me too. And so, I just decide to use it for my good in terms of raising money for the March of Dimes, rolling it into my business. And I think that's what a number of us might be able to do, whatever your story is or whatever you may have experienced. It really just allows you to continue to talk about it, bring other folks in the fold so they know we're not the only ones. So thank you for sharing. I knew nothing about lymphedema prior to you sharing your story. So right away, you were able to educate a lot of us.
But thank you.
Thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that.
I feel hot.
To a friend right here. It's like we're just having a little girlfriend conversation.
Because being a fan, and it's kind of funny. It's people who grew up with me, and I think they forgot that I was fast. So that let you know.
They were like, really? And especially if you're in the same state, like I've always lived here in Maryland. If you've always lived in where you have, then we have a lot of friends from high school and middle school, and they do. They know you. They know us. They remember.
Yeah.
They may not say anything, but they remember. They remember. So. My next question is, I've closed 85% of my business from repeat and referral business in my 19-year career. I've known for some time that I need to add other lead generating sources to continue to grow and sustain my business. That is one of the reasons I joined 6 and 12 for the second year. I'm always been open to coaching. I've had a variety of different types of coaching, but joining 6 and 12 allowed me to learn new ways to attract clients from my business. I'm still not the sharpest in my social media skills, and I do get overwhelmed with so many ways that we can include social media in our growth. How would you, Marky, coach an experienced realtor who relied on other methods to get business on incorporating social selling into their business?
So I'm gonna answer this based on something that I plan to implement.
Okay.
So
we'll get a sneak peek, right?
yeah, and I think that there's enough opportunity out here for everybody. So I've been on the fence on whether or not I should learn about the metaverse, right? And not that I don't think that I should possess the knowledge. The question is explaining it to the consumer. Is it viable? Yeah. Is it going to grow? Yeah. But how do you get buyers, sellers, tenants, and landlords, right, to get on board with this concept? So I interviewed a young lady from the close, I think 2 weeks ago, on divorces and become a certified divorce real estate expert.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing when she started talking about it, I thought about my target audience, right? So another reason for me not doing the metaverse is based on my target audience, 45 to 54-year-olds, and getting them to embrace the metaverse when they're not embracing technology. So how do I get them over the hurdle to put them in, to take them to the Jetsons, essentially, right?
Okay.
I don't think that's going to be that easy. However, when it came up about with the divorce situation, I started thinking 45 to 54-year-olds, we have our principal residence. A lot of us now have second homes. A lot of us are buying international properties. But I'm looking at, this could easily be on average 5 parcels per marriage based on their earnings and based on their age. So instantly I said, forget the metaverse and focus on divorced couples. Okay. But now the question is, how do you market that? Right? How do you publicly talk about that situation? And then if someone sees you list the property, do they call you the divorce expert and instantly think that every couple you work with is going through a divorce, right? So now I'm thinking, what other ways can I market myself in that situation? Or what type of language do I bring in that when someone thinking about going to through divorce or going through divorce thinks of me as the expert to solve that problem? Okay. So instantly, there's some platforms I wouldn't use.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not going to use TikTok, even though on TikTok, you could probably do a comedy skit, but that's not, to me, this is a very serious matter. And a higher net worth, right? So I'm thinking there should be some videos. It should probably talk about healing. And instantly the other day, the first thing I thought about is, what would the visuals look like? Well, I would not include any happy married looking couples in any of the visual content, right? I need to include what it looks like to be 40 and older, enjoying life, happy, but no couples. So like women out on the town, men playing golf. But for that person to be able to isolate the family vision to them being happy after the situation. Right. So even in setting up the marketing, right, I'm going back to the target audience. What does it look like to successfully retire? What platforms are they on?
Right.
What tools am I going to use? What is going to be the messaging? And the fact that it wouldn't be a pleasant feeling for the marketing to be all with happy, smiling couples.
No. Yeah.
Right. But I don't want them to think that they would be angry as a result. I want them to think about what single single, I would probably say simplicity, harmonious. What does that look like? Okay.
Yep.
With some blog posts with experts on divorces, but I wouldn't think that in that marketing, I would consider if you're going through a divorce. No, I would want to talk to divorced couples the way that they're searching the internet when they're exploring a divorce because they own real estate, investment properties, and other homes, second homes.
Right.
Interviewing experts in that marketplace. And let me tell you what else with that situation. There are, I think, 9 states that have no state tax. So thinking the same way that I'm thinking. I'm looking at a second home. I want it to be in a warm state. That gives me Florida, Texas, and Nevada that have no state taxes.
Tennessee.
Oh, and Tennessee. That have no state taxes, right? Where hopefully not paying state taxes can offset the cost to buy there. And then I'm also looking at a managed condo in Tulum, right? Because elder care is less expensive in South America and in Mexico, about 10 cents on the dollar of what American care is, right?
Okay.
So because I'm in that age, right, that's how the whole marketing, I'm thinking for myself. Right. But all of that is coming into play with the marketing, with the direct mail. Are you going to go to homeowners where a divorce has recently been filed if you live in a state with public, right? So social media would be used, but it would definitely need the photos, the videos, the language. So you can tell I've been thinking about this, right? Because, and so that's how I'm approaching that, because that would be something new that I've never focused on, right? Moving forward. So going back to that target audience, where they hanging out and what they doing.
Right. And in our age group, there are, and I've represented couples who've divorced and sold homes. I joke about it and say, the divorce realtor, but why? Because they were my friends or family, right? And then now, as we get a little older, a couple of weeks ago, a couple referred me to their friend who said they're still living in the same house. We're getting divorced. So they asked them to give me a call because I sold their home. They were married, but this couple is getting divorced. And so it is, I think when you get in a certain age group, you begin to see that it is a market for you. Market for you.
And what somebody just typed down in the chat was and plastic surgeon office. And we're looking at facelifts. We're looking at mommy makeovers. We're looking at rejuvenation procedures, right? We're looking at all of that. And and let me say this, I didn't even think about that. So and so now that's not me marketing to them. That's me coming in the office, right? Seeing if I could put my very high-end brochures there, right? Yes. And befriending the front desk, kind of like being in pharmaceutical sales.
Exactly. Yeah. Sounds like we need to have a mastermind around.
Well, I'm going to take it's a designation program.
And I saw her. Yes, I saw your interview.
It was, and it's not like a NAR designation. This is $795 designation, right? So I said that'll be because it's not like the metaverse. It's not like technology, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to cost a little bit more, and I don't think it's going to be for everyone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like you might almost have had to be married or have gone through a divorce, right, to be empathetic to the time you wanted to choke your husband, right? And you let them live to see another day. Or look, they want to choke us, whatever case may be, right? And so, and then in that, right, think about the new pivot, because relationships are not reflective of what we were seeing when we were young, right?
Correct. Yes.
So
Yes.
what does that look like? Because that is going to, just because a person's in a same-sex relationship, doesn't mean that they're more I don't know, they might be more likely to stay together, but there's also divorce there. And what does that look like? Because that's going to be yet an even, let me say this, they likely have more assets because same-sex couples tend to have a higher net worth and own more real estate, probably due to the fact that the children are more than likely planned inside of that union.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another opportunity.
Another opportunity. Awesome. Well, we'll sit tight and see what you continue to think about for us.
We're going to do it. Look, we doing that because to me, that's just a natural based on where I'm at and where my friends are. Yes. No.
Well, I'll get a little light now. Relationship still.
Okay.
We're both mothers of graduates of Howard University, and I know you're just as proud of your son as I am of my daughter. With unmarried young adults still a part of our everyday lives, what advice would you give to other parents in establishing boundaries with their adult children? Stuff like, my house is my house, one day it'll be yours, but right now it's mine. You know, I worked hard for this stuff. I took good care of you. I spent all that money for you to go to school. Now you need to get your own. So when we talk about boundaries with adults, because they're adults, they're over 25. Some of my colleagues in 6 and 12 may even have older children that are either living with them, come very often to their homes, whatever it might be. What kind of advice, because you live, not live with, but you have an adult son, a young person, young adult. What kind of advice would you give around boundaries as we build our businesses, and some are dual careers, so they have twice as much work commitments as some of us do?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. This has to be the funniest question at this time in life. So I'm a blended household. For 9 years, it was just Skylar and I against the world. One thing that my mother told me, she was like, Marky, you do realize you're raising Skylar for another woman. He is not your little boyfriend, right? So let me start with, I probably had him thinking he was my little boyfriend. Okay.
Okay.
So being in a blended household was a rough transition because Stephen kind of just came in and took over. That would be the best. He's very territorial. So I have been to counseling 3 times on how to manage my relationship with Skylar. The first time he was in high school, the counselor said, no need in us coming because Skylar wasn't putting in no work. The second time was when Skylar was in college because I loved him, but I did not like him as a person. The third time is right now. So Skylar moved out in April of 2021, and I did an entire operation move Skylar out. So I funded him moving out because my husband said he simply just could not take it anymore. And guess what? It's very hard for 2 men to live in the same house, right? So Skylar moved out, yet Skylar still had keys to our house. So Skylar would kind of, pop up when he wants to pop up, but never like late at night, stuff like that, right? Well, not too long ago, I took Skylar's keys from him, okay? And I feel good. Like I feel great that he doesn't live here. I feel great that he does not have keys to my house, because I didn't have keys to his house, right? And so now he has to call and say, hey, I'm going to stop by. Okay, you're more than welcome to stop by. But that also controls the boundaries, right? The person doesn't have the ability to just pop up and walk in your house and be standing in your office, which is what I was getting, just so that you would know. And so I've always, because I was raised as an only child, but I have siblings, right? So I've always, and I'm much older than they are. So I've
Okay.
always had like a boundary around what it is that I'm willing to do and the time in which I'm willing to do it. So going to counseling has definitely allowed me to be more defined with my boundaries, because I was feeling guilty about just being, strict with it. And let me just be clear, the therapist has affirmed and confirmed the boundaries, because if it was anyone else, right, you would not allow the person to do that.
Right.
But our children can often do things to us no one else can do. So there's a lot things that, through talking to the therapist, I have definitely implemented. Like, he not getting keys back to my house, because I don't want keys to his house, right? My time, I don't answer the phone. If I'm working and doing something, I don't answer the phone. His emergency is not my emergency. Right. So implementing all of that. And then if you have kids that are years apart, I might hear, well, Austin is 15. He's a minor. So if I see a call from Austin school, I'm gonna say, hold on, give me a minute, right? I'm not doing that for Skylar, because he's not a minor.
Right.
And I'm not responsible for him. And note that you're doing the right thing. And I think that our generation, we give our children way more grace than our parents gave us.
Yes, we do.
So one of the ways that I often judge things is, what could I do to my mother?
Wow. Okay.
And if my mama wasn't accepting it, why should I? Now, if you go back, you think about, what would your mama let you get away with, right? And as soon as I said she wouldn't let you get away with that.
That's a good litmus test. That really is.
You show them boundaries right on up, right? So he no longer lives here. He wanted to know about family trips. The question was, do you expect me to pay for you to go on these family trips? Right. And what the therapist said, it was like, he's a grown man who earns a great salary, right?
Right.
Give him the invitation, but let him know that he's financially responsible. And let me say this, if he goes on vacation with us, I'm going to buy some dinners and transportation. I'm going to do all that. But that don't mean that at your age, I should be buying your airfare, your hotel, when you can get on a plane and go to South America whenever you feel like going.
Yeah, they get their flights in. Yes, they do.
Don't they? They get in everything they want to do.
Yes.
Everything, how they want to do it. You go on Instagram, you see them balling out of control, living their best life, right? While we at home look, Skylar was gainfully unemployed for 3 months. He just got hired at Ernst & Young, right? Because he didn't appreciate his last job. I was the financial backup for his unemployment.
Yes.
Right? There's a whole lot of stuff he ain't done, because no way I should be your backup.
Yep.
But we're parents. So I knew how my child didn't save his money. Girl, you better put a few dollars to the side, because guess what? He still can't come and live here.
Yeah. And I just want to say, some of our colleagues in 6 and 12 have dropped 2 books in the chat. I'm going to look right for them. Boundaries by Henry Cloud. And another book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. So thank you guys for that. We will make sure to check those books out.
I think everybody can go and save the chat, because clearly I ain't the only one over here dealing with this situation. So baby, go. Well, I'm glad, look, but that therapist, and here's what's funny about the therapist, right? I think it's 10 of us who go to the same therapist.
Of your friends?
Of my friends. 10 of us go to the same therapist. Now, she ain't going to talk about nobody business and who come to her, none of that. But we always get together and we like, so what did Dr. Wanda tell you?
Yeah. And it's true. That's that thing about sharing. You realize you're not the only one in it. And it's so helpful, right, when we share with our friends, same age group.
One of my girlfriends, her mother is a self-made millionaire. And she's not happy in her marriage with her. I think that's her third husband. And she won't leave. So what my friend says, Mark, I'm really glad that you're in therapy because I don't want any of my friends to be miserable like my mother is. She went back to school. She got a degree. She retired. She's drop dead gorgeous for a senior. And she got money. But she is so resentful. And I was like, man, could you imagine retiring? You saved your money. You've done well. She has 3 homes. And you just resentful? Yeah, I don't want, that's not what I envision for my future.
Right. Not at all.
You can't buy happiness.
Yes.
So I'm gonna read them books that Sherry just dropped.
Yes,
and
I jotted them down.
And I sent Skylar a book, Radical Forgiveness. He asked for the book. I sent it to him. I believe some of it is showing up in his life. And then I also sent him through Landmark. But he was so young when I sent him through Landmark. I want to say he attended their teen program. And I think he might need a Landmark do-over, which is about accountability, full acceptance of, being a thing is a thing. So somebody might say, I want to use an example. I just call it what it is, because somebody will say, well, so-and-so did so-and-so because of so-and-so. No, so-and-so just did so-and-so. That doesn't mean it's because of. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to figure out an example to give you. But yeah, radical forgiveness.
Radical forgiveness. Okay. That sounds like a gift.
It is.
So I'm being conscious of the time. I'm going to ask this one last light question.
Is it? Girl, I don't know about light because I feel hot.
This one is. I think you're a fashionista and I love your style and your outfits. What is one thing in your closet you have from your college days?
Oh, that's easy. I have my Delta Sigma Theta jacket from spring of 1990 that I got at Lloyd's of London on 87th off of Stony Island. That's sitting right there in my closet. But I have items in my closet that date back to 8th grade.
Really?
Yeah. So my father purchased me a Fendi purse for my 8th grade graduation from Neiman Marcus on Michigan Avenue. I still have that purse. I just got rid of a Coach purse from 6th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So
y'all had money.
Yeah, they had a little money. And so what's funny though, that Fendi bag in 1983 was $80. Right. It was I have a Gucci shopping bag in my closet with monograms that was $130. I can't get no shopping bag at Gucci for $100. And here's my thought process on shopping. Because I have items I've had for 4 decades, it's not as expensive when you're keeping it for that long.
Right.
As when people don't spend that much money, they might not get the longevity out of their pieces that I'm getting out of my pieces. For the car inaugural, there was a pair of Gucci gym shoes. Them brown Gucci gym shoes. I've changed the shoestring, but those gym shoes are 20 years old, right?
Okay.
And so I have a lot of older items that are, designer items, but I've had them
for years.
For years. and I can kind of just go through the the closet and rattle them off. Wow. I still have jewelry from my childhood. So a lot of pieces I've kept. My grandmother, when she passed away, she left me an insurance policy, and I decided that I was going to buy this diamond bumblebee that's a charm and the ring. My grandmother died in 1991.
Okay.
That jury's here. If I were to pass away, my husband doesn't get any of my jewelry because I don't want none of his new women wearing my stuff.
That's right.
But my sons get my jewelry, and they're getting some jewelry from my childhood.
Right.
Yeah. So, yep, that black satin Delta Sigma Theta jacket from Lloyd's of London. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. AC, she Greek. She might remember Lloyd's up on 87th Street off of everybody went to Lloyd's to get their stuff made. And I still got my original jacket. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Marky, for sharing your professional and personal information with us as you've been on the hot seat tonight. And it's been a pleasure. I'm so excited that I was active participant on social for the last 30 or so days and was selected to have this opportunity. So thank you again. And I look forward to continuing to be a part of Season 12.
Well, thank you. Let us know if you need anything. I will tell you, I feel a little hot over here. Those were some deep discussions. And as I learned through the divorce certificate program, I do have it on my calendar to complete that this year. As I could definitely see that being beneficial, not just to me, but to anyone. AC, did you have anything you wanted to say? Oh, audio. Huh?
Are you open to answering that?
Oh, if we have a question, we can answer it.
Yeah. It says, can you explain an injunction? Wife filed for a divorce the day of closing, and my seller signed closing papers. Seller was unmarried at the time of purchase, and according to our law, the wife was not needing to sign. Can I seek my commission since my job was completed according to the contract? Or should I wait for the judge to rule? Judge says the wife must move out.
Okay. Whoa, I'm a little confused. Okay. Was it the wife's house or the husband's house?
Yeah, I wasn't clear about that either. It's an anonymous attendee who asked the question.
Okay. This is what I would say. Let me say this. In the state of Illinois, if you secure a ready, willing, able buyer who makes an offer in alignment with the listing agreement and no contingencies, you are entitled to the compensation. The question then is you would have to take them to court to sue them to get the compensation, and very few offers are going to be an offer with no contingency. So if you received an offer with no contingency, then by all means you could request the compensation. But to me, if we were to go back to look at our primary obligations, which include undivided loyalty, putting the needs and the wants of the clients before our own, I would definitely say that does not show a sense of loyalty. I would wait for them to finish their process and then be compensated at that time.
It was the husband's house.
Oh, it was the husband's house? And she came in after the fact? Yeah, I'm inclined to believe that she's not entitled to anything. And a lot of people think just because you get married does not mean that you have ownership in said property. One, how did they take title? How did they acquire the property? That would all dictate if that wife had any entitlement. So just because you get married and just because they live there does not mean that person owns the property. And I'm going to tell you this story before we hop off. I did a new class a couple of months ago, not recommended, but necessary, how to navigate self-employment, family, and chronic disease. And I went to go do that class in Spokane, Washington last week. And I never discussed the why. Why did I decide to set up my living trust and put our house in a real estate trust and have prepaid cremation. Why is everything in order? And the reason everything is in order is because my ex passed away in September of 2018 from a massive heart attack. Back in 2005, I quit claimed my ex's house to his brother. The reason was so that the brother could take a line of credit out against the property because my ex had built his brother's credit up. So fast forward, we had been broke up and I was being nosy. I looked up his information and I'm like, do you want me to prepare a quit claim deed for Lee to quit claim your house back to you? And he was like, oh, I'll take care of it. Well, in 2017, Lee passed away, and then Ron passed away in 2018. Well, they had never prepared the quit claim deed. So when my ex passed away, his deceased brother, estranged wife, inherited his property. He had a daughter, and he wanted everything to go to his daughter. His daughter received nothing. So I encourage everybody to get your stuff in order according to the state in which you live in. The next thing is he wanted to be cremated. One of the reasons I believe he wanted to be cremated is because he was a womanizer and he did not want all of his ex-women together at the same place at the same time. How about his daughter's mother gives him a funeral and we are all at the funeral together? And me and the ex-girlfriend behind me are the first two people who spoke at his funeral. Get your business in order. So if you want to know why I got everything over here with all my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed, it's because of that situation. So I said, yeah, baby, it was a whole entire situation. So the estranged, his brother's estranged wife, who she didn't even come to the boy, she didn't even come up here to ask for his ashes, right? She moved because she lived in Tennessee at the time. She moved to Chicago. She lived in the house for 1 year. She then sold it and made over $300,000. So his daughter did not get 1 penny. So in saying that, good people, we're going to turn a little music on. Was that the last question, AC? Yeah, that was more than a notion right there. So yeah, everybody think they own something. They might not own buckets. You want to get your business in order, good people. I know it's a lot, ain't it?